Hello, everybody. Welcome to Realistic Intentionality Reads Reddit. I'm Dani.
And I'm Dillon, and this is our 420 special.
420 Blaze It!
Realistic Intentionality Reads Reddit.
I was trying to debate whether I wanted to launch right back into season 2 of my interview guest-styled podcast. And I was talking to Dylan, and I'm like, we're having such a hectic schedule with our family life in spring with our son and all his activities. I was having a hard time booking guests. Him and I were watching Reddit stories on other people's podcasts. And so I was like, you know what? You want to do a podcast? Let's just do a fun little mini podcast series of reading Reddit. Why not?
Yeah, I've definitely been experiencing some resistance. So, yeah, I feel like a little mini series type deal with you, who is already doing a podcast, could definitely help me get my feet wet and hopefully get me motivated and inspired. And so what we got? Let's dive in.
All right, guys, if you are partaking this 420, feel free to blaze it, but I do have a wide array of stories, and they all deal with cannabis, so I can't promise it's gonna be smooth sailing, but good luck. Okay, we're in this together. This is from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for growing weed in my yard legally, and my neighbors with a 12-year-old can smell it and are upset with me? Now, I like that they added legally in parentheses. So just to throw it out there. Growing weed in my state recently became legal, and my family always wanted to do it. We're growing 3 plants, and they're starting to hit the stage where they smell a little. It's very light, skunky smell, even right next to them. So it must be super light across the street. Oh my god, the neighbors are across the street? Okay, that changes my opinion a little bit. Our neighbors asked my mother to take down the plants, Our neighbors asked my mother, to take down the plants. I see this is a grow up.
Teenager.
Nice family bonding grow up. Our neighbors asked my mother to take down the plants, which we spent a lot of money and work growing. So yes, he's growing this with his mom.
Nice.
Which we don't want to do. We're growing it legally. We're only growing 3 outdoors when we could grow 12. We're not smoking outside, and the plants aren't even visible. They're behind a fence far into our yard. We told our neighbors no, and they are really upset about it, and because they have a 12-year-old. But I'd imagine a 12-year-old wouldn't even notice, and if they did, so what? We're not offering it to them. Am I the asshole? Are we the assholes for not taking the plants down?
I'm going to say absolutely not.
I just there is something so wholesome about growing weed with your mom.
Absolutely.
And then having to battle with a neighbor over it.
Yeah, that's some good bonding time with moms for sure.
When I was reading these Reddits, I kind of skimmed them because I didn't want to really spoil it for me too much. I was just okay, this seems like the kind of good story. And so I didn't clock the fact that he was growing it with his mom, which is amazing. And so most of the comments said, not the asshole. Not the asshole, and hope you have a security camera in case they decide to take care of it themselves. Imagine if you and your mom just saw the 12-year-old neighbor kid trying to pick some.
No, I got one. The 12-year-old neighbor's over there trying to pick some, and the mom comes over there at the same time to try to cut it down and bust the kid.
The real reason.
Right. They've already busted the 12-year-old once already.
One comment says, nah, you're legally allowed to grow it. You're also legally allowed to burn a leaf pile, even if it's driving smoke into your neighbor's bedroom.
Good point.
Yeah. My family lives next to a house growing, and the smell is nonstop in their bedroom for 1 to 2 months each summer. If you're not a weed smoker, it sucks. Like living next to a brewery would suck. That said, again, you're allowed to. Maybe try one of those cheap pop-up greenhouses and see if it contains the smell. That's what I was wondering. But I also don't know anything about growing, so I don't know if that would, affect the humidity, the heat, just
It would be a completely different situation, I would imagine.
I don't...
Something they could do is plant some flowers in the yard, get some other smelly stuff,
What
in the
they
yard.
should do is just adopt a pet skunk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
because he said it's a light skunky smell. So it's like just
I can never tell. Like most of the time, I can't tell between a skunk and weed.
I can.
I mean, I can sometimes.
Skunk has
but
more ass.
I don't know, man.
And then
Sometimes it's pretty close.
Okay, I feel like so like when I first got like my first stash of weed ever when I was like 14, I felt like it smelled like Burger King chicken nuggets, where it smelled like peppery. And like you know me, I'm really good at like matching up smells to like what they are. Like
yeah.
I'm really good at that. So I can't possibly be wrong on that. But like to me, weed always smells either
We just ain't
a
the
little
same since middle school. I swear,
well,
it just
yeah.
ain't the same.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That weed was like, you know, it was shake and had seeds in it and all that.
That was that good old smoke a whole blunt with your buddies and not feel like you're losing your mind.
Is this like all the smokers and cat owners in the world saying that their house doesn't smell like smoke or cats? I mean, you're within the law. I'm gonna say not the asshole, but maybe get an unbiased person to tell you if it really does smell across the street. If so, you may want to grow fewer plants or move your operations indoors. Part of living with a neighborhood is knowing you have your neighbors, and that goes both ways. You tolerate a little bit of them being annoying, but you also constrain yourself slightly so you don't annoy them as much as you might otherwise have. And that got 10 upvotes.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends if they're like in a neighborhood area, like cul-de-sac, like like a high class neighborhood, or if they live in the country.
It's not like it's in the front yard, you know?
Yeah, right. And they're fenced in.
Backyard is like free game.
Yeah.
Like I dream of having a backyard with like a big fence so I can just like walk around naked and like do weird shit in my yard, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Know what you mean.
Someone said technically not the asshole, but I would be annoyed as shit with you. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I think like
They're just gonna have to get over it.
yeah, I think if they're trying to like if we're trying to problem solve, definitely the greenhouse would be worth looking into if it doesn't affect the growing too much. Otherwise I would like bake them some like muffins and just like talk about adopting a pet skunk, honestly. Like whatever, if she's so concerned about the 12-year-old, like just like make up some excuse a 12-year-old might buy. I don't know, but like 12-year-olds nowadays, he probably has his own plan.
It seems like they're just controlling.
No, wait.
A controlling neighbor.
I don't think it could possibly smell across the street. So what if the kid just has a secret pot plant growing and the mom's smelling that, like fresh in her yard?
They're just blaming it on the neighbor.
Yeah, because I truly do not understand how that could possibly be stinking across. So like backyard, through the house, through the front yard, across the street to their house. I'm not buying it. The kid has a plant.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
That's solved.
Solve that one.
Check your kid.
Check your kid. He's got the plant. Tell him he got a skunk. Potentially get a greenhouse. Don't take down the plants.
No.
They're sacred. They're sacred plants. Respect them. All right. This next one is one of my favorites. And this was posted in r-starseeds.
Ooh, this is going to be good.
Is it bad that I mostly get super spiritual / godlike only when high off weed? I've noticed weed allows my heart chakra to open and floods in insane downloads. I also feel the direct link to my divine nature and knowingness of the possibility of anything. However, I've been wanting to quit as of late since I don't want it to be a crutch or a limitation. Also in the past, whenever I quit for a week, a surge of emotions come rushing back. When I'm not smoking weed, I'm mostly concerned with my business and other serious matters, which is why my heart chakra closes back up because of my competitive and distrusting nature from my experiences. Ultimately, conflicted to quit or not, and wondering about y'all's experiences with the plant.
I can relate as far as getting more spiritual and connecting to God, specifically when you get too high.
Because then you just need God's help.
Right. You're just praying like, please, just allow me to just keep my brain together. Please.
Dude, so this is just funny because it's like starseeds if you guys aren't familiar, starseeds kind of believe that they were reincarnated from some higher dimensional extraterrestrial previous lives. And so like the fact that's like it was posted in that thread, not even like spirituality or like just like weed or the like, it was literally posted in star seeds. And like this, the title, is it bad that I mostly get super spiritual and godlike only when high off weed?
I can't wait to see the comments.
It's like,
from this
babe,
group.
are you sure you're a star seed or are you just high?
She was definitely smoked before she found the group to post in, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, if you literally only feel that way when you are on drugs, you might want to rethink whether you are a reincarnated higher dimensional alien or not.
I do get that, though. I do get the getting, like, when you quit and then you're like focused on like work and like the grind, and like especially if you're in like sales or like any kind of business where you like cutthroat business, I can see where that would close your heart off.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
imagine the weed smoking is probably bad for business because it's opening your heart,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, they didn't disclose what kind of business they're in, but like to me, like weed is very heart chakra. I mean, it's a plant. It's
The
mother
color
cannabis.
the colors
Yeah,
coordinated, it's earthy.
you inhale in your lungs. It's very in your chest. Like it does open up your heart chakra. You and I have a rule of thumb, and it's that if you are in like a very high vibration, high state of being all the time, if you smoke weed, it's only going to take you lower. But then if you are in a really low place that is like vibrationally lower than the vibration of cannabis, smoking it's going to uplift you, right? So it sounds like this person, they seem self-aware. They don't want it to be a crutch. I guess they're mostly just like wondering whether they should quit or not because they feel like it does uplift them to a higher place, but they don't want to rely on it, which I think is a really healthy perspective. When talking about living intentionally, you need to have the intentions of making sure that your decisions suit where you want to be in life and what you want to do. So some comments were saying, I'm always on the boat for quitting. It definitely helps me with my physical pain, but I think it does block your top chakras from opening. Hence why I have trouble remembering my dreams, and people experience a flood of dreams when they stop. I think it's all personal when to use and when to quit. Your intuition will be your best guide, which I totally agree. My whole thing about intentional living is that you need to follow your intuition. So even without any like spiritual context or beliefs, it does affect your sleep and your dreams. And I do think that for people who do fall into like the starseed mentality, the spirituality like kind of thing, they typically want to know what's happening in the astral realm and the dreams. So probably like if you're in the starseed vibe, like you want to make sure you're allowing yourself to access those higher chakras.
Yeah, I would maybe recommend for them to definitely not do it daily. They don't want it to be like a vice.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a bad thing that it helps you get into a spiritual place. That's actually like probably a more productive way of using it. And maybe like using it more ritualistic, using
ceremoniously.
More ceremoniously. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like in my head, like what I would do personally.
Yeah, they're getting benefits from it, but like, yeah, they don't want to solely rely on it. So maybe using it ritualistic, and then also doing some of the same ritualistic things they would use with the weed, trying it without the weed to try to, make those pathways.
And also when it comes to them feeling like, their heart chakra like closes, and they said mostly concerned with business and other serious matters, which is why my heart chakra closes back up because of my competitive and distrusting nature from my experiences. It sounds like they have unhealed trauma. They have unhealed trauma, which is what closes the heart chakra. And like ultimately they need to address that because they can't rely on weed. They need to use weed more ceremoniously. They know that using weed this often and only having these effects from weed does not suit their higher purpose. That's why they're writing this post. So it's like, babe, you need to figure out what's that trauma. Why can't you trust people? Why can't you open up? Why can't you enjoy the little things and the pleasures in life when you're sober. And yeah, a lot of the comments were saying that, like, on this starseed thing, you know, it's like use what you deem as responsible. But a lot of them did say that they typically quit. This one says, holy moly, this is relatable. Total transcendental experience when I'm high, and my grounding comes back when it wears off. It's like a whole new reality, but I'm with ya. It's not totally compatible with a lot of life at the moment. I think part of your heart feeling open is the self-love you have when you smoke. It's helped me with self-love too. So I guess it's a balancing act. Spirituality sometimes and real life other times. Though I'm sure they'll reconcile one day. And then LL Research says to basically use your own discretion of when something is good for you and when to stop. If something feels bad to you, then it's bad. If you believe it's good, you will have beneficial results. It's kind of like placebo effect. In fact, I think placebo effect is a spiritual effect. Yeah, I don't know if I don't
like that.
See, I don't.
I meant just the ending, the placebo effect, spiritual effect.
I don't, because I know so many people that are all cracked out on weed that, like, need to smoke it all day, every day, a million edibles, a million dabs.
They're convinced it's good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't agree with that either.
Right. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Substances are tricky.
There's a thing called denial.
Right. It's definitely tricky. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah. This person seems pretty self-aware, though. I feel like they know the answer, the answer's within.
Yeah.
I don't think they necessarily need to quit 100% forever, but, maybe now's a time to lay off.
Yeah. I think they'd probably do better with, like, healing whatever's closing them up and then using it ceremoniously. And I don't know, like, I haven't really smoked weed in years. I will say, like, my first big spiritual awakening, I was always high. It was during, like, when I was smoking weed all day, every day. And I've been having a really strong, profound, like, reawakening as of, like, the past, like, few months. And going through it sober, it definitely just feels cleaner. It feels like a cleaner sense of spirituality. Yeah, but, good luck. Definitely work on whatever is causing that distrust, because there's definitely some trauma there. And
yeah, you can definitely do business in 9 to 5 and still exist in your heart without closing up. Yeah,
good luck though. But your title made me crack up when I was, like, searching through them. I had to throw it in because I'm like, yo, that's so funny. Because it's not like I was looking
I thought that was going to be way more out there. Would it be in starseeds?
Right. Yeah. No. There were some we should do a whole starseed episode.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
There were a lot of them. All right. So this one is a long one. And it's from Best of Redditor Updates. Crazy neighbor received my cannabis package and called the cops. What do I say or do?
Yikes.
This was posted a month before the legalization of cannabis in Canada, even though police had largely stopped arresting people for it. And this was mail order marijuana, websites that sell weed through the mail. Before legalization, it was a very common way to get weed. Nowadays, people prefer to buy it in stores. All right. For the third time since I started ordering mail order weed, the postal worker delivered my package to the wrong house. The previous 2 times, I was able to stop him, and he remedied his mistake. Since then, I've tried to be at home every time expecting this delivery. I made a complaint to Canada Post, but they did not give a shit. They just said that it's rare that packages aren't delivered to their rightful owner. I obviously can't tell them the nature of the package and why I'm so anxious to receive them. This time, however, I wasn't able to intervene, and my package was delivered to one of my neighbors. Call them Neighbor A. Her next-door neighbor, Neighbor B, and I became friendly, and we have smoked up together. He's aware how I received my product. So, Neighbor A received the package, thought it was their package they were expecting, and opened it. Oh, no. Saw what it was, and completely flipped out. Told Neighbor B what happened. Can you believe the danger our neighborhood is being put in with the stuff being delivered in the mail? They've probably put fentanyl in this to try to get their customers addicted. Imagine if a child opened it. This is what happens when our Prime Minister. This is what happens when our Prime Minister is a pothead. Yada, yada, yada. And told my friend, Neighbor B, that she called the cops. and they would be stopping by to get her statement and to retrieve the package in question and investigate further.
Oh, no.
She also showed the package to Neighbor B, so he saw my name, and as soon as he's able to, Neighbor B ran to my house to tell me what happened. Dude, that is so funny that, like, his literal, like, smoking buddy was just listening to this Karen, like, talk about fentanyl. And
No, don't. We can handle this in-house. We can handle this in the neighborhood.
I know that if Canada Post figures out what is in the package and lets the cops know, it's the mail order marijuana that is facing more danger than the recipient. But my name and address are on the package. They are calling it mom mail order marijuana, so they're saying they're going to be more in trouble than the recipient, him. But my name and address are on the package, and the cops will more than likely come by and ask to speak to me. So what do I say? I absolutely did not order this. I have no idea what kind of joke this is. I don't know what to do. It's a very strange situation. And to make matters worse, Neighbor A assumed from the quantity, 1 ounce, that I'm trafficking it. Dude, 1 ounce in the mail is crazy. She told Neighbor B that she was going to call my landlord and tell him I'm a drug dealer, and had said she was making it her mission to figure out my place of employment to inform them I use and sell drugs.
Oh my god.
I'm not concerned about either. Dude, if he was selling drugs, he could just, like, put the forwarding address. It's like, that's a lot of extra steps to order the weed and mail, open the mail, and then, like, divide it up.
I don't know. I think that's how they do it.
I'm not concerned about either. Both my landlord and my employer are super chill and trust me, so they will more than likely believe me, although I doubt she will figure out where I work. When Neighbor B left to come talk to me, Neighbor A was writing up a letter to drop off to all our neighbors, informing them that there's a drug dealer living in the area, that cops have been informed, and that she would do her duty to keep everyone informed. Neighbor B tried to tell her that it was harmless, but she's totally gone off the rails and is personally offended that this is happening in her neighborhood. I'm not totally concerned about this. I don't sell drugs, so to spread this information would be slanderous, but even so, I really hope she doesn't go to the lengths. She does nothing all day but post false information on Facebook about immigrants and the dangers of liberalism. She's a Karen.
Oh, man.
It's crazy that shit happens in Canada, too. And ensuring she knows all the comings and goings of our neighborhood. She seems more distraught over the fact that there's a drug house in her neighborhood, and she didn't know about it rather than the actual danger of the drug house. So what do I say or do?
Ooh, buddy.
What would you do?
She's taking this to the bitter ends.
I probably would have put on a MAGA hat, taken her some muffins, again, neighbors. Told her that you ordered the weed to catch the company, and that you were gonna press charges against the company because you're an undercover detective.
Oh yeah,
with
he
like
could
whatever
pull that,
Canada's DEA is.
He could pull that. His family members works for the feds,
right?
And he was given this task.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's why
he's undercover.
That's why she doesn't know his occupation.
Yeah,
because he's undercover.
Don't spread anymore because you're blowing my cover.
You're blowing my cover.
You're blowing my cover right now. Shut up.
Uno reversed the bitch.
Yeah,
okay?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
So clearly,
I was thinking more along the lines of like go over there and saying that like you're epileptic and it's medical, but being a Fed, yeah.
Being a Fed,
yeah.
That's the more sensible.
Yeah.
Why use it as a medicine when you can just say you're trying to bust them all?
Because this lady's a definite bootlicker.
Bootlicker,
for sure. Yeah.
Well, we have an update. So what happened? I spoke with a couple lawyers as well as my friend. That's good. Lawyers. That's probably the more realistic way to go about that. As well as my friend who's a former and super chill police officer. Dude, this person knows a lot of chill people. Chill neighbor B, chill landlord, chill employer.
I think bro's just chill.
Bro obviously had an ounce sitting at home already.
Yeah.
He's relaxed through this. And my friend who's a crown prosecutor. All these Canada terms I'm like struggling with. The lawyers told me not to directly answer any questions, play ignorance, and to keep them informed about the crazy lady. A couple of days later, 2 cops knocked on my door. Though I knew it'd be fine, I freaked out a bit, but played it cool. They told me that they had spoke with the neighbor who had concerns about the safety of the neighborhood, and they wanted to ask a few questions. I know my rights, so I said I would speak with them. They said that there was a neighbor concerned about drug trafficking in the area and wanted to know if I had witnessed any suspicious activity. I said no, none at all. They asked a few more questions, whether I see strange people coming and going late at night, whether I had any concerns about theft or vandalism. I said no, none at all. Then the demeanor changed slightly, and one officer said, "The concern the neighbor is expressing lies mostly in a receipt of marijuana in the mail." I said, "In the mail? That's right." What? Marijuana in the mail?
Oh, man. So he chose the playing dumb card.
That's rather interesting. I don't think I've heard of traffickers sending marijuana in the mail. Buddy, you might have taken the play ignorant thing too far.
Yeah.
And he just gave me a deep gaze. Okay. And he said, "We don't believe this is a serious issue, but if you ever receive a package that isn't intended for you and you suspect it may contain illicit material, don't hesitate to call us. We want to be clear that we do not think there's any reason to be concerned and believe this is a safe neighborhood." And that was that. They weren't super obvious, and I didn't act suspiciously or anything. Did you not act? I would say denying the fact
I
that...
don't know. Maybe they thought that... Because sometimes I've known friends to like order stuff, have it sent to a random address, and like wait on it to get dropped off, and then go grab it out the mailbox.
You know people that do that?
This was over a decade ago. You know, people just don't care now and just get it sent to their house. But yeah,
What a world.
Yeah, get it sent to like a abandoned house or just random person.
But I could tell they were saying things without saying them, you know?
My nerves would have been racked.
I probably would have just been like, yeah, I know about that, but then not confirm whether, like, did it or not. I also want to address all the comments about my neighbor committing a crime by opening my mail. I appreciate the sentiment, but do you really think that she would get charged for this? No way in hell. I was basically told by 2 lawyers that the chances of me getting charged for marijuana are much higher than the chances of her getting charged with mail fraud. And my chances are extremely minuscule to begin with. I've been told by a Crown prosecutor that it's very, very rare that anyone is charged with mail tampering, if only for extreme cases, when people are intentionally tampering with your mail, using for fraudulent purposes, etc. They said that the idea of charging her would be laughed out of the Crown's office. While I know that's illegal to open someone else's mail, I never once thought it would be an option to charge her. My friendly neighbor has also insisted that while she is a batshit crazy, she doesn't believe she's intentionally opened the mail. She received a similar looking package later that day, so he thinks what's up with everyone looking at each other's mail? Like, he's like, oh, she did get
how
one.
does he know that?
It's like, what is the mail system in Canada? What is this?
It annoys me so much that she opened his mail. Now that you're saying that again, like, ugh, I don't like this lady at all.
That's the part that bothers you, that she accidentally opened someone's mail.
Accidentally, she was being nosy.
Not sending letters to everyone about how
I hate it all.
You hate it all.
Yeah, she sucks.
0 out of 10. Get fucked,
Could you
bitch.
imagine having this neighbor?
Dude, oh my god. Ugh, I would just... Now, back to the crazy neighbor lady. She's relentless, though smarter than I thought. While she's vigilantly taking precautions, her words, not mine, ensure our neighborhood is safe, she has not named me or pointed out my house. The best part is that my friendly neighbor has been keeping tabs on the situation, pretending to care, when he really just wants to report back to me. Okay, so his friend's like a spy.
Yeah, he's a double agent.
Luckily, she has no idea that he and I are friends. He knows that she has called the police at least 8 times, has contacted Canada Post, Global and CBC News, Crime Stoppers, and has personally attended the Crown Prosecutor's office. You can laugh and think I'm exaggerating here, but I'm not. She's completely unhinged. She told my neighbor the reason she's taking this so seriously is because she's flabbergasted at the thought of activities that are ongoing in the neighborhood without her being aware. She said you have to write the note of what's happening in your neighborhood. She can't believe the police aren't taking her seriously.
Yeah,
And
it sounds like she's probably done this over other things a bunch, and he's lucky that she's the one who found it, because they probably hate her.
yeah.
'Cause- yeah,
They see her
yeah.
Facebook post.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no.
Dude, she can't be bitching about liberalism and then also bitching about the police not doing their jobs. Like, pick a side. She's upset that the Global and CBC did not even call her back. And Crime Stoppers thanked her for the tip, but they didn't seem very grateful.
This lady is stuck in the 50s. She's got like a 50s mindset. Does she realize like how normalized weed is in today?
Dude, there's like so much more. The police have advised her that her behavior has become harassing, so she stopped calling them. Oh my god. The cops are saying like, bitch, you're harassing us now.
Oh my god.
So she stopped calling them.
That's
but
amazing.
The reason she went to the media is because she wants everyone to know that the police aren't taking her this life-threatening issue to heart. So now she's going to the news about the cops. Okay, so they know that one family called the police on her because she was harassing them about the dangers their children are in the neighborhood because of the marijuana. So they were harassing some parents of some kids.
Oh my god.
And so they called the police because she spoke directly to the children and told them that there are drug dealers.
Oh my god.
So this bitch
dude.
went to some random people's kids and were like, there's drug dealers.
I hope she gets a restraining order put on her by people in the neighborhood.
Apparently, everyone did receive a letter from her that said marijuana was being distributed in the mail and that the author was working to gather evidence to charge one particular house in the neighborhood. So I guess she did anonymously.
This is all she's thinking about.
Yeah.
She's obsessed.
She also told my neighbor she won't be contacting my landlord until she has more evidence. This is
that?
last,
Is there more? Is there more to it?
last update. Last weekend, crazy neighbor A had a meeting at her house. I didn't go, thought it would be a bit much, though I did want to go and stir the pot. Luckily, neighbor B went and was kind enough to report back on the evening. It became very clear that neighbor A had embellished her story even further to garner interest. There were about 20 people there, which is a great turnout, and they were all under the impression that they'd be discussing fentanyl within the community. Fentanyl is a serious issue, and most people are concerned about it. Marijuana is not something people are concerned about. She told everyone that she's going to be discussing the evidence that there's fentanyl being distributed in her community. So
So
she has now like harassed the police, sent out anonymous letters, harassed a child in the neighborhood.
She had a meeting at her house and had 20 people from the neighborhood there?
And was lying to them about fentanyl being distributed.
Wow.
They saw, so naturally people were intrigued, but a bit angry to hear that it was happening until they got to the meeting and saw the big sign reading the dangers of marijuana, pot, weed in our community. So there's a big banner and it said the dangers of marijuana /pot /weed in our community. One lady told my friendly neighbor B that crazy neighbor had told her she found fentanyl in her mailbox. So people started asking right away what the deal with marijuana was. And then crazy neighbor immediately lost her shit and started accusing these people of being part of the drug ring happening in the neighborhood. It said, if you have no problem with marijuana, you support criminals who want nothing more to get our children addicted and destroy our community with dangerous drugs. Then everyone realized this lady is nuts, and some people started to leave. Included in the audience was the father who had called the cops on her a week before for harassing their kid.
Why was he there?
This man has a son, and he's irresponsible and does not care that his son is in danger. Oh, so she started insulting this dude.
Oh fuck.
I told him about the danger his son was in, and he laughed me out the driveway. Then another nice woman started feeling sorry for the crazy neighbor and tried to pull her away and tell her she was clearly confused and needed help. Meanwhile, the rest of the neighbors are getting very confused as to what the hell is going on and why they are even there. Then a neighbor with a son confirms that this woman is really just upset about cannabis. And then everyone understands and begins to feel sorry for the crazy neighbor who's clearly unhinged. She was super upset by this point and says she did lie about the fentanyl because she wanted people to take her more seriously. She said that, though, based on evidence being shared in Facebook group, it appears many criminals are using marijuana to get customers addicted to fentanyl. This one guy starts laughing at her and admits he uses cannabis regularly. Another lady confirmed the same. If they would have just sparked up then and there, I'm high right now.
You want to try some?
It's like, oh, I got an ounce right here. I got it out in the mail. Isn't that cool?
Oh, man. This lady's making me, like, the lesson out of this is, like, don't retire or, like, have a hobby or something into your old. Like, if you're going to retire and not have anything to do, like, she must have, like, money to be able to live. You know, she doesn't need to work. It's like, have a hobby.
Have a hobby.
Do something. Pick up knitting.
Pick up a joint.
Right.
Just
pick
try
up a joint
some.
and knit.
You got a free ounce and you just sent it to the cops.
Right.
That is a slap in the face to God right there. Then I guess some people start asking her what she's going to do in a few weeks when cannabis is legal. And she says she will be reporting every person she sees smoking to the police. They ask what she will report them for if it's legal. She says one day when our country is restored to its proper conservative government, marijuana will be criminalized and everyone who's illegally smoking it will end up in jail.
Oh my gosh.
So everyone leaves her house and they gather in front of her house to discuss what happened. And then she pops her head out and tells everyone she just called the police for trespassing. So she invites all these people over, and then when they're like lingering in the yard, she's like, "You're trespassing."
And
now.
the cops didn't answer; they ignored her.
So a few people decide to leave, but a handful decide to stay because they think it's hilarious. So a half hour later, the police car shows up. I should note that people are gathered in the front of her house, but they are more so on the sidewalk, and they are also partly on my friendly neighbor's lawn, as they live next door to one another. So the police come out and ask what's going on. The guy who was first in the meeting to admit he uses cannabis takes over and tells the police what is happening. He says a woman got everyone to gather at her house under a false pretense that she'd be discussing the dangers of fentanyl in the community, but it turned out to be about marijuana. Then she started threatening everyone there that she would be telling the police that they are all illegally using marijuana. And the police said that the woman was known to them and she had made several complaints about drug use in the community and that they were going to talk to her, but they told everyone to go home. So that is the end of the story of the crazy neighbor lady. Apparently her daughter showed up next week and was talking to neighbor B about what she can do to get an assessment done on her mother.
Oh.
The daughter doesn't believe it will help much, though, because her mom has always been this way. I guess she got her daughter's friend suspended from school when they were in high school because her friend came home drunk one night. So she told the school administration and was bragging about being drunk at school and drinking in class. She later told her daughter she lied to prove a point.
Wow.
So she got, what, a girl suspended suspended from school from a lie.
Got some issues,
She's
man.
a villain.
Yeah.
She is a villain. I guess crazy neighbor lady has a niece who was caught with weed by her parents, and the crazy neighbor convinced her sister that she had seen her selling it to children on the corner. She told her daughter that she did it to prove a point, and so she just lies. She just lies to get people in trouble. She doesn't care if lies ruin people's lives. She will do anything to further her agenda. Anyway, everyone can laugh about this insane situation. It may seem unbelievable, but this is legit. As my mom always says, it takes all kinds.
Wow. This guy really started some shit, huh? I don't think he really started it, though. He just, because she was probably going on in the same way about something else, you know?
Dude, just, the amount of lore he found out about this lady... the fact that she does this all the time and, she literally, threatened to call the cops on, half the neighborhood. And, literally ending with her daughter wanting to get her assessed is,
That's the, cherry on top.
It's lady, just drop some brownies off. Bake her some brownies. Bake her some infused brownies and, help her out, dude.
Man, she would think they're laced. She would not eat them.
Pretty much all the comments are just like flabbergasted by the sheer amounts of twists and turns of this. It was posted in Best of Redditor updates, so it did go pretty big on Reddit. Yeah, I didn't. Crazy. Canada has Karens too, and dare I say, that Karen is intense. I bet she's living in America now with our current administration. She was like, they're doing it right. Yikes. Yeah, so if you smoked for this podcast, guys, how are you holding up after that one?
Make sure to put the right address on your package.
Yeah. Watch out for those moms, the mail order marijuana. Watch out. You do not want your crazy fucking neighbor to get a hold of it. That's for sure. Am I wrong for enjoying marijuana with my teenage son? My son is exceptionally mature for his age. He's very social, he has a job, lots of friends, and he has a girlfriend and are almost celebrating their 1-year anniversary. He'll come across much more mature than his age. He's turning 16 next January, so he's currently 15. We're living in the Netherlands, and as such, marijuana is legally available to adults, not to 15-year-olds. I have a history of recreational uses of many substances, marijuana being one of them. When I grew up, I had to hide everything from my folks, and because they wouldn't have had it. It damaged my relationship with them and also made me paranoid at the time for them catching me in the act or the aftermath of my usage. Since my son is mature, we talk about a lot of things with him, me and my wife. He's in high school, marijuana was mentioned more and more with his friends. Eventually, he expressed his interest in trying it himself, and me and my wife decided he would be doing it with me at home. He had an absolute blast. This was about 6 months ago. Ever since, we've been doing it some more times. Not all the time, not every weekend, just every now and then. It's a topic I don't bring up again amongst strangers. The times I do this with fellow marijuana smoking adults, and they unanimously support my decision to do this with the kid. Rather than having him go behind my back, not knowing what you'll get, I'd also like to add that I vape my stuff rather than smoking it, vaping being the much healthier alternative. So, is he wrong for smoking weed with his teenage son?
That is definitely a case-by-case basis when it comes to that topic, I would say.
I have a general rule of thumb where even when I was smoking, I would not smoke with my family because it would always just be cringe as fuck. Just like, always so cringe. Like, once you see, like, enough of your relatives, like, stone down their mind, it's just like, I don't want to see anymore.
I tried to get my mom to smoke with me.
It's not.
A couple years ago, and
it's not worth it.
No luck. No luck. I don't think so, anyways.
I mean, people that do like smoke with their parents, like, good on you. Like, glad you can do it. I cannot. I don't have the stomach for it. That's my opinion. And I also, now we have our, my stepson, your son, and he's 15. And I blatantly told you, like, no. Like, we cannot do that. Like, that is completely not only alienating the trust of his mom and his stepdad, like the other parents in the co-parenting situation, but just like, it seems irresponsible, especially at 15.
Yeah.
Like 17, senior year, like.
Yeah, 15's definitely pushing it, but it's different country, different, like, and it's culture. And I mean, like I said, it's a case by case. Like, it's it's just some teenagers are like more mature at 15 than others.
It's a little icky. He does talk about how mature his son is. Yeah, to me it just like came off as icky, just kind of like, dude, like, he's still 15 years old. Like, let him be 15.
But I've known like people my age that back then when we were teenagers that smoked with their parents, and a lot of them are like doing so much better in adulthood than the ones who are hiding it and like went down the drug addiction path. Like, most of the ones who smoked with their parents, that's all they might still smoke weed or they might not, but like, they didn't really go to harder drugs. Most of them anyways. They were like, it was like kind of mind-blowing and like wild at the time, and it's just like, oh, they're like, ooh, like, you know, you almost before you started really smoking weed, you go over there and like almost uncomfortable because it's like my mom would not approve of me being over here, you know, like the smoking weed house. But it's like they just stuck with that, and they didn't really take drugs any further. Whereas like it was the complete opposite. Like I had to completely hide it, and you know we all know what path I took. You know.
I think there's a difference between letting them have a safe place to do it.
Yeah.
Providing safe, tested, it doesn't, it's clean stuff. And they're not going to get arrested in their house.
Yeah.
They're not going to get busted in their house.
Like turn a blind eye type of deal. Like.
Well, like, just like facilitate, but not encourage.
Yeah.
And like, to me, it definitely seems a little icky. And most of the comments did believe it was wrong. Mature or not, a 15-year-old's body isn't that ready for the effects of mind-altering substances. That has been proven with weed, alcohol, and a lot of different medications. But do what you want.
Yeah.
You're doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. Be a parent, not a pal.
Yeah, I went through that and had to learn that lesson for sure. Of like, if you're like being the buddy instead of the parent, that's gonna backfire on you at some point.
Yeah.
You're like, your kid's not gonna have the respect when it comes time to discipline them, and I had to learn that the hard way. Like,
yeah.
And I had to go like, not being in my oldest son's life for a period of time and kind of being absent for periods of time. I went through that, like, trying, it was hard to discipline him because of that, and like trying to be that buddy and being that friend. And then, then you get kind of stepped up, you get walked over at some point. And then it's like, you got to you got to be a parent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fine line. You need to be a safe place, but you also need to be like firm.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Talk to them about the risks and potential benefits and all this stuff. Maybe, not be so crazy about it that they do it outside the house. Like you said, facilitate a safe place. But yeah, doing it with them. I'm not judging them, but personally, from the lessons I've learned, probably not the best
I wouldn't.
move. Yeah.
I personally wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would, like, if we found out, our son, when he's a teenager, like, he starts smoking weed and stuff, I would just be like, fentanyl testing strips, like, where are you getting it, whatever.
Yeah.
Even if it's like, if he's hell-bent on using it, then it's like, okay, let's talk about how to use it intentionally, how to use it responsibly, how to get it responsibly, which I know is kind of hard for teenagers. And even like providing it, like if we were to get to dispensary and like have it just like in the house and be like, this is where it's at, I don't even know, like, even that seems like
that is the safest, but it's also enabling. And
it's illegal. Like, I do believe, like, as parents, you could probably get in some legal trouble for doing that, even if the intentions are good. So it's like, even that, I don't know, but I definitely would like allow it to be in the house. I would rather them doing it in the house than like at a park at night. I got arrested as a teenager for
driving
doing it
around with teenagers,
right, in a car.
Yeah, that's not cool either.
This comment says, honestly, I understand that you don't want your child to consume behind your back and end up creating habits. However, I do not agree with the fact that an underage person consumes marijuana as your son is in his development stage where his brain is still changing. I mean, he's 16 and has 2 years left until he can legally smoke. So I really think he should wait. 2 years flies by fast. Also, it's like, let a kid be a kid. You have your entire life to smoke weed. Like, be a teenager. Do teenager things. And like, I stand by that. Like, as a teenager who got into adult things literally like freshman year, like I started smoking, I started like having sex all freshman year and stuff. And it's just like, I wish I would have just had more time to just be a kid, because I did have friends that like wanted to just like sleep over and goof off and like do silly kid things, but because I was always chasing like, oh, I want to get high, I want to party, I want to have sex, I didn't hang out with the people that wanted to do wholesome, fun kid stuff, because I was chasing those adult activities. Right. And I regret that, because now it's like I have all the time in the world to do that, and it's rare for me to find a friend that wants to come over and dress up and take photos. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So let a kid be a kid. smoking with your kid, your 15-year-old kid, that's weird. I understand wanting to make sure they do it safe and intentionally, but that's not the way.
Yeah.
This was posted in r-Ex-Mormon.
I feel like I've heard this story already. Like, go ahead. I feel like I've maybe heard this.
Hell visions on weed?
Television.
Do you recognize that one?
No, I don't.
I've been out of the church for 4 or 5 years now and feel pretty well adjusted. The year after I came out to my fairly supportive family, age 23, my best friend was killed by her husband, and I went through some depression and got a really great therapist who helped me through a lot of trauma and helped me talk about my loss of faith as well. Obviously, I'm still sad about my friend, more irritated than angry about my life in church. I have great parents who minimized a lot of the damage that they could have been. Of course, not all of it. Still, I feel like I've been lucky. I'm in a good place and really happy with my life overall. I've enjoyed slowly trying out the sins and really enjoy wine, coffee, great movies, regardless of ratings. So when cannabis was legalized in California, I decided to try it. When I smoked the first couple of times, I just didn't feel any different, which is kind of how it went when I took prescription meds like hydrocodone or codeine syrup, wisdom teeth, and bronchitis. Okay.
It came out swinging.
All right, yeah. They're providing a lot of details, a lot of context, which go them. My friend gave me an edible, and of course I had way too much and went to the darkest place. I believe because of my warped sense of time that I had died and my brain was dying and I was hallucinating reality in hell, and I would be tortured by a demon who looked like my friend. I would be forced to live through every possible good and bad thing in my interpretation of Murphy's Law, working within the boundlessness of eternity. I had a conversation with Satan in my head about how I was lost and it was too late for me because I denied God in life, and people do drugs because they're all dead and trying to figure out things out and get out of hell or something. I thought my partner might be Jesus, but being around him freaked me out about whether he was faking his love for me. I kept grasping at any kind of lesson that could save me, self-love, love for others, etc. I don't remember many more of my thoughts, but I was left with the suspicion that any kind of eternal existence would be a type of hell. Rough.
Ooh.
I don't think existence is possible without suffering. Whether in the usual way, empathetically, or in being alone without empathy, you're no longer whole. A traditional heaven, worshiping a god forever, would be eternal stagnation. Mormon heaven, or becoming a god, sounds both lonely and full of suffering in the indoctrine of the agency of one's creation holds. Reincarnation sounds exhausting. Non-existence terrifies me. I don't know. I do love being alive.
Oh.
Sounds it.
Could have fooled me.
Circumstances have forced me to think about my own mortality a lot. So I kind of get why I had that reaction. But 2 years later, I have to fend off thoughts like these 50% of the time I smoke. They still smoke.
Why?
And it's so annoying to not be able to just have a joint and relax. I just don't partake at all anymore. But after reading How to Change Your Mind by Polan, I want to try mushrooms. Both my partner and I are nervous about how I'd react, though.
Oh, yeah, you should be.
Is it Mormon brainwashing? Repressed grief? Am I insane? Do I think too much? Anyone else have experiences like this?
Yup. For sure.
Yeah. Getting way too high on an edible and then having the worst fucking thoughts about dying and existence. Yeah, that's a rite of passage, honestly.
Yeah. If you haven't experienced that, yeah, I don't know.
I haven't experienced
I don't
it
trust you.
on weed, really, but I always had good reactions with weed and psychedelics, but after having a kid, anytime I tried to smoke weed, I would get like anxious. Not ever feel like I was dying, but just unpleasant. But I mean, I know tons of people that go through that.
They should definitely start off small with the mushrooms.
Yeah, just like the way this was written, okay?
Or not, or just go balls to the wall.
There was absolutely no like paragraph breaks, and it just seemed like a lot. And then to end it casually with like, I think I want to try weed or try mushrooms. is wild. These ex-Mormons go hard.
Yeah, they really do. I've heard a lot of stories.
I'm kind of obsessed. The fact that she thought her partner was Jesus was kind of sweet.
That was, yeah.
That was kind of sweet. Definitely microdose.
I've thought you were a CIA handler for me.
Yeah, which is like...
But I'm not that important, so I don't know why I had that thought. Well, maybe it's because I thought I was Jesus for a minute, but...
Right. Well, if I was your handler, I did a really bad
Jesus and you're a
job.
CIA member.
Most handlers don't put a microphone in front of you. So, that's not how this is working. Top comment. You're definitely not alone. I have had this deep experience, but 90% of the time I'm under the influence. My mind always goes to these existential thoughts. I hate knowing that's what I always deeply am thinking about because we do get brainwashed in a way. And they said more. Your trip was really interesting to me. Also because even when I was TBM, I don't know if that's like a Mormon thing, the thought of existing forever sounded exhausting to me. Even if it was supposedly in a perfect world. So, like, yeah, they're really just exhausted of just, like, reincarnation, living forever. I'd be very interested to find out what strain of, and, like, what type of edible that was. It's like, this gave me hell visions. Don't overdo it. There are different strains. Dabble in small quantities and don't go overboard. If you find a compatible strain, then you increase the dosage. Don't do any other drugs attempting to get over this one. Lastly, maybe it isn't for you. Find ways to unwind, perhaps mindfulness, meditation, walking, running, hiking, volunteering, something. And then OP wrote, yeah, I mean, I'm okay with not smoking weed. I haven't in months. I was in my mid-20s before I tried it, and I got along just fine before, and have since as far as free time relaxation goes. I just wish it would have been an option because I like options. I could see that. As an ex-Mormon, you just kind of want the freedoms.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for what the experience showed me about myself. Just kind of surprised because my mind had seemed wired to resist just about everything people said in church. It's that subconscious programming. You know, even if you consciously resist it, there's still that subconscious, like, fear-based belief, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've
noticed, like, a lot of, like, religious people, like, specifically Judaic Christian, like, those main religions have a hard time when it comes to tripping or, you know, getting too high. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I guess it maybe is the fear programming and, like, the apocalyptic, you know, belief system. I don't know. It tends to... It's very common.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends who had freakouts.
In another comment, she said she's had good experiences with hybrids, using a vape pen in small amounts, but have had things start to go bad with indica too. These days can stave off panic attacks and turn things around by meditating, focusing on positive things. She also wrote in another comment how she wants to do psychedelics therapeutically to help her mind readjust to the new reality that she's creating for self being an ex-Mormon.
I think mushrooms could help with that. It definitely could.
Yeah. In my research lately, though, I've read that psychedelics can really help for anxiety and fears of mortality, which I'm interested in now. Mm-hmm. So, honestly, I wish her all the luck. It was a couple years ago. So hopefully she has found her way and she hasn't had any more hell visions on weed.
Yeah, I definitely second the, like, microdose. Like,
yeah.
The weed's strong these days.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, when I smoke, I take the smallest hit and it's always enough. I never think... I used to always, like, wish I would have smoked more when it came to smoking. Mm-hmm. And I never feel that way. It's always like, oh... Thank God I didn't smoke more.
So I see it. All right. We are on to our last Reddit story.
Okie dokie. What we got?
Am I the asshole for giving my girlfriend's mother, who is dying of cancer, weed against my girlfriend's wishes? I live in Virginia, where it's legal to grow weed, so I do. I obviously smoke weed, and my girlfriend does not. My girlfriend's mother is dying of brain cancer, and while talking to my girlfriend, I suggested to my girlfriend that her mom try weed to see if it helps at all. I have way more than I could ever smoke, so I told her I can give her mom some. She was totally against the idea because she just thought it would be weird to see or know her mom was smoking weed. Lame. I told her that her mom is fucking dying, in quotation marks, fucking dying, and she should be supportive of anything that might help her, but she didn't want to hear it. We went to her mother's house, and I brought some weed with me. After some conversation with her mother, I asked if she had ever tried cannabis and got the evil eye from my girlfriend. Her mom said no, but she didn't seem like she was against it. So I gave her the weed I brought along with one of my dry herb vaporizers and showed her how to use it. Her 2 adult sisters were both taken back by the whole situation, but were genuinely supportive of it. My girlfriend, not so much. On the way home, she was quite pissed at me, more so that I did it against her wishes, and then she was upset about her mother using weed. I told her I couldn't sit back and not offer something I thought that could help someone fucking dying. They keep quoting fucking dying like that. Thoughts? Is he the asshole?
I mean, kind of, for the reason she's mad at him, which is doing it against her wishes, but, dude, if it's gonna bring her some comfort, or some laughs, or any sort of pleasantries, I don't understand why she's against it. Like, if she's okay with having a boyfriend that smokes weed, why are you so resistant to your mom smoking weed? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he should have done it behind her back.
Yeah.
I don't normally support that or, condone that behavior, but in this instance, I think that may have been the route to take.
I really want more context, because it's like, did the mother have a good time then? Like, did she enjoy it? Did she ask for more? Did she feel like it was beneficial? Because I feel like if I was actively dying and I got weed, like high and smoked weed for the first time in my life, because she hadn't smoked it before, I feel like that'd be kind of scary. It's like, but I guess coming to terms with your death is better to do when you are actively dying.
Yeah, most people have good experiences, like when they're on their deathbed or know that they're dying soon and they do mushrooms or weed. I feel like I've never heard of someone having a bad experience from that.
A lot of the comments were saying that, comments sharing their own stories about giving weed to people who had cancer or were dying or after surgeries. And people were mostly saying, not the asshole, that, he did good. And obviously her kids weren't really prioritizing her comfort by denying things without even, like, consulting her, which right. I do agree. Like,
yeah,
she
can make her own decisions.
I feel like he should have really, like, really asserted with his girlfriend, like, I feel compelled to offer this.
Yeah.
I don't want you to stop me because I think your mom deserves the choice. I feel like it should have really been established, like, I'm not asking for your permission.
I'm just letting you know.
I'm letting you know I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And then doing it in front of the 3 daughters was kind of wild. But I guess it's better than behind their back. But yeah, mostly everyone said not the asshole. Dying people should get offered any kind of relief that will help. I feel the same way if it was illegal. I can't imagine why anyone would be so cruel to want to deny them potential relief. You're a good person for trying to help.
Yeah. She'll get over it.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but it doesn't matter. He felt compelled to do something he thought would help, and, if she can't see that is what it was, then,
yeah,
whatever.
He was just trying to help. And, cannabis is an incredibly healing and comforting plant when people are aligned with it and are meant to get comfort. Other people get hell visions. Other people get God complexes. But for people who are struggling, it can really be a medicine, and it should really be respected and decriminalized and accessible safely. Yeah. And people should really learn to use it intentionally.
Absolutely.
I do think that it definitely is really beneficial.
Do you think you'll ever smoke weed again?
I would like to.
Yeah.
I aspire to smoke weed again. I just, like, the few times I've tried since having River, I just, like, get so anxious about the amount of responsibility and the weight of the love that I have for him. And like I do think that is something I need to work on. Like I need to ground in that instead of being so scared of that responsibility. And I have heard of like women and mothers doing like mushroom circles where they do mushroom ceremonies to help ground and like really accept their role in motherhood. And so I do think maybe cannabis could also help in that. You know, I do hope to one day.
Yeah.
But it's not, I'm really happy I don't do it the way I used to, where I did used to do it all the time. I mean, when you met me, I was like smoking all the time, you know, and that isn't sustainable. That's not intentional. So I'm glad I'm not in that place anymore.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I've been really enjoying the little like I guess it's like the Delta something. Like I'm not sure exactly which one it is. I think it's got a few different things along the spectrum in it, but I've been enjoying that, like the vapes.
Yeah.
Not every day, you know, a couple times a week here and there. It gives me like that initial feeling of smoking, but it doesn't like last too long. So if like I get that uncomfortable feeling that I get occasionally from weed, it doesn't last that long.
Yeah, I did like smoking like the CBD herb where it's just like 0.03 THC and it's mostly CBD. Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
This is like in between that and like real weed.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, it definitely can get you high if you do a lot of it. I've never done a lot of it, but I've seen where it could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a low tolerance, so you know, I'm not trying to break no records like I used to. You know.
Yeah.
It's a nice little perspective shifter. If I'm just, you know, I like options too. I'm a person that appreciates options, so it's nice to kind of have. I've been doing the sober thing, so it's nice to have a little gray area of an option to like, you know, kind of kick back with occasionally.
Yeah, I'll probably do it more ceremoniously.
Yeah.
Where I think if I do it with no intentions of trying to relax, but more of intentions of it being a ceremonious, spiritual hour and a half, 2 hours of healing, whether I'm comfortable or not, I think I'll be all right with that. So
yeah, I enjoy it for times like outdoors or like doing yoga, doing something physical.
Yeah,
because I tend to get in my body a lot, and that can cause you to get uncomfortable. But I find if I'm being active, if I'm doing like physically active things, then I can really enjoy the being in the body and connecting with your friends at a concert or something.
Yeah,
I like it for those times.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for our 420 Reddit reading. Thank you so much for joining us for this little funky series we're doing, but we are so happy you're here.
Yes, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you all for watching.
Yes.
And yeah, we'll see you again soon.
Yep. So thank you so much for being here. You are valid. You are worthy. You are loved. And enjoy your 420 and Easter.
Happy 420.
Bye.
Happy Easter.